This is the Cumnock Chronicle online weekly roundup where we take a quick peek at this week's paper. Dominating the front pages this week is the sticky situation in Sanker. David, you were covering that story.
Yep, this was a lorry was jackknifed the early hours of last Friday morning. Unfortunately, happened to be carrying 22 tonnes worth of water-based glue, which you can imagine it kind of got everywhere. The emergency services and the highways agency workers, they were out trying to clear it up. And the road was shut for several hours, causing a bit of disruption for people trying to get about their day on Friday. I think it's something that's still causing a bit of trouble.
I believe the owner of the garage where it happened is still encountering problems 5 days on.
He certainly is. Due to the kind of nature of the glue, they cleared it up off the surface on Friday, and but it seems to have kind of soaked into the tarmac and now it's oozing back up. He's facing quite a serious insurance claim to try and get it dealt with. He might have to rip all the tar up, start again. He's also going to have to change the carpets in his tea room because it's getting to people's feet and they're dragging it in and ruining the carpet. So not very nice for him, unfortunately.
Nightmare for him, And also on the front page this week we've got some bad news for Mauchline Holy Fair and the Cumnock Highland Games. David, you were covering this story.
Yes, this is part of the council's ongoing budget cuts. We knew it was something that was going to come, but it's still not nice when it happens. It's one of a number of different cuts the council are making to the grants that they hand out. But both the Holy Fair and the Highland Games are going to see their money cut to absolutely nothing over the next 3 years because the council say they've got big enough now that they should be able to support themselves and attract their own sponsors, so it's a bit of a blow for them, I think.
And what are they saying about it?
The Mauchline Burns Club that run the Holy Fair, they are saying that it might mean the end of the Holy Fair itself, basically because they don't want to downgrade it, they want to keep it at the standard it's at the moment, but if they can't get the money they would just rather stop it rather than make it a smaller event. The Highland Games is facing a bit more of a pressing concern for this year because they don't have enough volunteers to run their committee, which could mean that it won't happen this year. The Holy Fair, it's going to be over the next few years, we'll see what happens. But the Highland Games is facing quite an immediate problem.
That would be a bit of a disaster for Cumnock, wouldn't it?
There are two major events on the calendar, so it would be a real shame to lose them. And inside the paper this week, it was a bit of a health scare down in Sanker. Mark, I think you've been following this?
Yeah, there's been 2 confirmed cases of swine flu. Jennifer Scott, a 27-year-old, and her godson Tyler Roberts both contracted the virus. Jennifer was actually pregnant at the time and was given a caesarean section and then airlifted to a specialist unit in Leicester. The baby is fine, while she is critical but in a stable condition, and Tyler Roberts is actually out of hospital now and doing fine.
That's good. The health board, have they offered any sort of advice on what to do if people have been a bit worried about this?
Yeah, David Cox, the Director of Public Health, is actually trying to reassure people that this is actually a particularly normal strain of the virus for this time of year, and just for people to go about their normal business. Nothing to worry about too much.
It sounds as if it's fairly like a normal flu, but obviously still quite an unpleasant thing to get.
Of course it is, and there's also the at-risk groups. People with diabetes, elderly people, or people with chronic illnesses. They're the ones at most at risk. But they also say that vaccinations are still available. So if you visit your GP surgery and get the vaccination, that should help.
That's good advice. The inside our sports section this week, the draw was made for the Scottish Junior Cup, but no local derby, I'm afraid, Mark.
Yeah, no local derby, but Cumnock and Auchinleck Talbot are pretty happy with the draws, I think, and both will believe that they've got a great chance of making the last 4. Cumnock were drawn at home to Shotts, and they played Shotts early in the season. They drew 3-3, but Shotts have actually been struggling most of the campaign. They won the competition last year, but I'm pretty sure Brian McCluskey will fancy his side's chances at Townhead Park. And obviously Tommy Sloan's side are aiming for a 10th Junior Scottish Cup title. They play Kelty Hearts. They actually travel to Kelty Hearts, who are a decent outfit, but with the form that they're in this season, I believe Tommy Sloan will be pretty confident they can go through that one.
Let's hope so. And it's a bit closer to home. There's quite an interesting looking league match this weekend.
Yeah, well, it's Glenafton versus Auchinleck Talbot, and we speak to both managers ahead of the match, and we in particularly interesting comments this week from Darren Henderson, who sort of speaks of his admiration for the job that Tommy Sloan does at Talbot, his admiration for the way they go about their business. And also there's plenty more inside the sports pages this week.